In this edition of KidLead, I'm going to encourage you to stop parenting and start coaching if you want to develop your child's leadership muscle. Many parents, well-intended, actually thwart and hinder the development of their child's leadership capacity. I'm going to show you 5 levels of coaching that'll help you develop their potential. Welcome to KidLead. When we don't exercise physically, our muscles will atrophy. So we exercise, we lift weights, we try to keep them toned. It's sort of the same way with leadership muscles. If we do not develop and exercise intentionally our child's leadership muscle, they will tend to atrophy. That's what we're talking about coaching. We're not talking about this kind of coaching. We're really talking about executive coaching. Executive coaching is where you help another adult by asking them Socratic key questions to instigate a thinking process that will endure. I'm going to give you 5 levels of coaching to help you develop your child's leadership muscle. Let's start. Now, before I explain the 5 levels, let me lay a foundation. When I say I want you to stop parenting and start coaching, I'm really not saying you should give up parenting. You are a parent. So the goal is not so much to direct them as a traditional parent would, telling them what to do, how to think, but rather it's a style, a coaching style that will help them develop their abilities. That's very important, not just for all kids, but especially for leaders. So we want to make sure that we don't just tell them what to think and what to do. We want to teach them how to think so that in your absence, they will be able to think and respond as a leader would. Now, there are 4 things that I think you'll find helpful to sort of understand the best approaches to take with certain children, especially those who are willing and able to lead. The first thing you want to do is you want to estimate the likelihood of leadership giftedness in your child. We talked about that in an earlier video called Are Leaders Made or Born? So if you haven't seen it, make sure you check that out. But below in the description of this video, you'll find a link to a free online assessment that'll help you estimate the likelihood of them being gifted. The higher the score, the more important it is for you to use these sort of coaching techniques. Secondly, you want to make sure that, again, this is in the context of actually leading, not just working with them one-on-one. Meaning that it ought to be in the context of either a family project that you do at home or a school project. But basically, in the context we use it today, you're going to be helping coach a child make decisions as a leader because leaders are constantly making decisions. A third thing is that the coaching process empowers them to think like a leader. Again, I think that's a strategic move away from traditional parenting where you're telling a child what to do, how to think. Rather, coaching is helping them develop their thinking skills and their behaving skills so that, again, in your absence, they will continue to perpetuate that sort of leader orientation. And fourth, I just want to remind you that this will take more time than typical parenting. Because traditional parenting is you're telling a child what to do. Many times we resort to that because it's very efficient, right? It's direct. But coaching really will take more time. So make sure it's not rushed because you're equipping them. You're going to empower them to think and act like a leader. And it takes a while for them to develop that skill, that muscle. Now, as they are developing their leadership muscle, you're going to be also developing your coaching muscle. So just know that you'll get better as well as they are going to be getting better as leaders. All right, so let's talk about those 5 levels, and I'll help you identify and develop some skills that regardless of where your child is on this continuum, you'll be more effective as a parent. So now you're looking at the empowerment continuum. This is a model that we developed and we use it to train our coaches and trainers for Lead Young training curricula. You'll see that there are 5 different stages and each stage is a different coaching style depending on the needs of the young leader that you're coaching. You want to start at level 5. This is assuming that they have some leadership potential and you just want to begin hopefully with the end in mind. And we'll talk about what level 5 is in a moment. But that's more Socratic in nature. You move to the left as needed. So if a child or teen is not able to really thrive in terms of the coaching level that you're providing, you're going to move towards the left, which ultimately is more autocratic. You're going to tell them what to do and how to think. As the child succeeds, then you're going to move to the right. Occasionally, you may have to adjust. For example, if a child is at level 5 or level 4, or whether your coaching for them is, you may need to adjust based on the difficulty of a project. So more difficult projects will require you to take a different coaching approach. But generally, you want to focus on stages that help them thrive, and then you want to wean them from yourself and help them move toward the right as you coach them differently. So level 5 is what we refer to as Socratic coaching. Socrates, the ancient philosopher, didn't just teach by asking questions, but he did it often enough that he sort of became branded for that style or that method. Many great teachers throughout history and today teach this way. So it's basically asking strategic questions that forces the learner to think things they would not normally think. Given the opportunity that we have to work with some highly gifted leaders, this is a great approach and a great strategy. It refers to the sort of the old Italian proverb that says, give a person a fish and you feed him for a day, teach him how to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. So what do we do at this level? At this level, you're going to provide some open-ended questions. It's as if you push pause on their project and you ask them a question. Hey, what are 2 or 3 ways you could solve this? You have them think about some alternatives, some possible solutions. Don't just settle for one. And then you say, well, what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses of each one? And then you help them compare. You help them think critically because, again, making decisions is a very, very important part of what it means to be an effective leader. So then you ask them, okay, which of these do you choose? Now, why did you choose it? Again, you're asking them to compare and contrast the strengths and the weaknesses of the potential solutions so that you help them make a decision on their own, and then you will let them apply it and you'll see how it goes. Now, if you can tell that your leader is kind of struggling with coming up with ideas, you might want to step back to level 4 coaching. And level 4 coaching is kind of a combination of level 3 and level 5 put together. For example, you would ask them, what are 3 ways to solve this problem? And then you would ask them, which of these make the most sense to you and why? So those reflect level 5. But now level 3 comes in, and if you can see that their ideas are probably not going to be effective, they're not going to be useful to the team, then you could support some of your own. You could say, hey, have you thought about this alternative? Or what if you did this? So again, you're kind of moving into providing them some potential ideas. They're still going to pick the one that they think is most effective, but you've supplemented the ideas that they came up with in case they have a hard time coming up with their own. That's level 4. Now at level 3 coaching, you're going to still ask them for their ideas, but you're probably going to assume that you're going to need to supplement it. So again, you begin with the question, what are 3 ways to solve this problem? Maybe they can't think of 3, but at least challenge them to think of 1 or 2. And then you would say, which one of these 2 do you think would be the best one? And again, why do you think that? Very similar to the previous ones. But you're going to go on and you're going to intentionally provide a couple of ideas of your own. You're going to say, well, here's what I think would work best, or here are a couple more ideas. And then you offer, here's the one that I think would work best. And you always provide the why. You want them to understand how you're thinking, and that allows them to think critically as well. So you begin by asking their ideas, you ask them for their justification or the rationalization of it, and then you're going to offer at least 1, maybe 2 of your own, and then you're going to give your opinion of which one you think is the best and why. That's level 3. Now level 2 coaching, as you can see on the continuum, is a bit more autocratic. What that means is you're going to be actually providing some ideas, and then you're going to be asking your young leader which one he or she thinks is probably the best one. So you would say, here are 3 ways to solve the problem. And then you follow up by saying, which one do you think is the best? Again, you're challenging them to think. You're not making it too easy for them yet. Ask them why they think that way. help them understand the pros and the cons, the strengths and the weaknesses, and then you weigh in with your opinion. Here's which one I think would be the best, and here's why I think that. Again, it's pushing pause on the project so that you can help them think through the decision process so that ultimately they're going to decide which one they pick and then they're going to implement it. That's level 2 coaching. So level 1 is the most autocratic. You're going to be telling them what they should probably do and why, and then you're going to be empowering them. This is probably the child or the teen that is either intimidated by the audience or the team members, and or they're just not a strong leader. They've never practiced leading or being in charge. So you're going to do that. You're going to say, here's the best way to solve this problem. And this is why I think it's the best. Again, you're helping them understand your thinking. Then you might give them some ideas of how to do it, because again, you don't want them to be intimidated. You want them to succeed. And then you're going to sort of inspire them by saying, okay, now I want you to take charge and lead the team. It's up to you now. Do what I ask you to do. Now, this may not sound like leading, and in many ways it's not. It's really more about managing. And yet at the same time, in real life, we as leaders often have to implement ideas or decisions that others have asked us to do. People who are our supervisors, our superiors, we many times as leaders have to do that. So this gives them an opportunity to feel in charge and yet not feel that pressure of coming up with an idea or deciding what the best way to succeed will be. That's level 1, coaching. So now you have a tool to exercise your child's leadership muscle. We encourage you to look below this video in the description area. You'll see some links to assessments, articles, and also a couple other books that we recommend that affirm this sort of parenting style in general. As always, feel free to push the like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more of these videos. I'm Alan Nelson, and until we meet again, remember, if you want to change the world, focus on leaders. But if you want to change leaders, focus on them when they're young.